So we're going to add a USB charger to this Toyota 4Runner. In order to do that, we need to tap into the fuse box. So for that, I bought a Busman fuse tab with two 10 amp circuits, and I bought some bullet splice connectors that I attached to the tap. And keep in mind that the tab that you get needs to be an ATM style tab. That's what the Toyota 4Runner uses. And for this USB charger, I selected a 7.5 amp fuse. The reason being is that the fuse that you're installing always has to be a little bit less than the original fuse that you're going to put in here. So let's go find that. Start working on the stereo. We're going to unplug the battery. And the very first thing that we need to do is unplug the negative side first. So we're going to take this guy out, and after we take this one out, we'll take the positive out. So we're taking the positive out. This is a 10 millimeter nut, and that's really all you need. So battery unplugged, we're ready to go. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the center console out. We need to take this out in order to access this, and then the radio. So we're going to give it a little pull and take the console off. Now, there are a couple things that are wired in here. We're going to unplug them. There. They only go one way, so we're good. We're gonna take this out of the way, and now we're gonna take this out. And now we're gonna take the lower part of the bezel so that we can have access. The next step now is to remove this portion. We're gonna need to get access in here in order to connect the USB power that we're going to be connecting, the accessory, and we're also going to need to have access inside of this to another bolt that attaches to this bezel that still needs to come out. In order to get that out, we're going to have to get this bolt out and that bolt out. They're both 10 millimeter bolts, so we're gonna get those out. Okay, and now we'll get this. Okay, so the first thing that I did, I connected, once I put in this mod, I routed this cable for the USB all the way to here, to the back of the radio. Then I put the ground wire of this one, and I piggybacked it off of the white and black wire off of the connector. So now we are grounded, and the power, which is the red, I'm routing it all the way around into the fuse box. So this is the USB charger that we put in our new radio, and I wired all the way from under the car. You can see that red wire, and it comes all the way out here. So what we're going to try to do is take a look at which fuse we're going to pick. The fuse that we're going to look at is the cigarette lighter. And if you take a look, the cigarette lighter is a 10 amp fuse to the bottom right. So that fuse is this one. So the first thing we need to do is just to make sure that this fuse that we're going to pick is going to be on when the car's on, and it's going to be off when the car is off. So we're going to set our voltmeter to DC voltage We're going to put it between 20 and 200, just so long as you're measuring in DC. And we're going to use, we're going to measure this fuse. The black one is going to go somewhere on a bolt on a car, somewhere that's metal, to ground. And I am going to test the fuse to see if I get a read. And I don't have a read on either one, so that means that it is off. There's no voltage going through. So now I'm going to turn the car back on, and when I turn the car back on, I'm going to see how I'm doing here. I'm going to put it here and connect it, and I get almost 12 volts on that side of the fuse and that side of the fuse. So that means that this is probably a good fuse to tap into. So now that we identify which fuse we're going to use, now we need to figure out which side of the fuse has the 12 volts. So in order to do that, we're going to remove the 10 amp fuse, the ATM 10 amp fuse, and we're going to turn on the car, and we're going to do the same test again in order to see which side is the load side. And see, this side is showing 12 volts and this other side is showing nothing. So that means that this side is the one that has the load, and that's how we need to orient the fuse tab. This is the load side, okay? So now that we know that this is the load side and this is the draw side, we need to orient the fuse tab. In a fuse tab, this side is always the load side, and this is the draw side. This is what goes to the USB charger. So if this is the load and that's the load, these two must go like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the original 10 volt amp in the bottom, which is where it's supposed to go, and I'm going to put the 7.5 amps that's going to go to the charger on top, on the piggyback. So there it is. Now I am going to connect it using those connectors that we just put on. And now that it's on, I am going to sneak it in there. And there it is. And that's how you properly put an accessory with a 12 volt charge demand in a Toyota 4Runner. That's the last test. I turned on the car, the stereo is installed, the fuse box is all put back together, and now both lights of my accessories for the charge and USB audio are turned on, and I think everything works.